I ain't tryna break you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all around. The more things I lost, the more I found. One thing I taught myself to do, no matter the problem, refuse to lose. So, how you want it, man? You can choose. If you can't take the heat, don't light the fuse. See, I walk in slow and ignite the room. Like fire, everything I touch, I consume. I'm getting up while y'all just snooze. While you make breakfast, man, I'm on the move. I'm the first one in and the last one out. Whoever owns the place gotta drag me out. In me I trust, yeah, I smell like success, this Elon Musk, huh? Everybody wanna be like us, we don't stop, cause the top just ain't enough, huh? I ain't never gay, no, I ain't scared, man, you know black men don't blush, huh? Came here ready to fight on this night, you better just run for your life. Won't you come and see what it's like, living by the rules that you write. You ain't all those lavish delights, now you had no back in sight. All the little lies you recite, just makes all the savage unite. Usually I'm very polite, but I'ma get savage tonight. Even when the dog being nice, every single dog gonna bite. You might think I'm wrong, but I'm right. Just let it get a strong appetite. I'ma let it breathe just a little, give it to you strong, heavy metal. I don't make a sound when I strike. You better just run for your life. Run for your life.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I am joined in the studio by Jacob Hansen, the Ward Radio watchdog, as well as Brittany the Shadow, keepress of the chats, who just finished a scrumptious slice of pizza, Ninja Turtle style, just eking it right in there before it starts. Craft Services has indeed showed up on time, as well as you guys. Speaking of showing up on time, as you come into the chat, please, everybody, like this live stream, share it with your friends. Let's fool the algorithms into thinking that everybody enjoys hanging out with Jacob Hansen, Brittany the Shadow, and Cardin Ellis.
Pretends.
Oh, I like you. I like you. That's why I married you, babe.
That's good to know.
Anyway, yeah, so we're getting a lot of comments on people that are enjoying the new live stream intro. Just so you guys know, we've done a lot of musical upgrades to the production value of the live stream, and the band is called The Siege, and the song is Run For Your Life. However, I recommend you Google the clean version if you want to look it up, because there's some other phraseologies in there that are not in the instrumental, okay?
I want to point out one upgrade that you've made, and that is the hat that you're wearing tonight. I think you got to show that one off.
Yes, I am indeed a War in Heaven veteran. This actually comes from Jonah Barnes. Check that out. He made that one for me. War in Heaven veteran. By the way, do you understand the symbology there? How cool is that?
Yeah,
This is going to be an upgraded version of this. First class body recipient is also going to be one of the pieces of merch that we come away with. Also, just so you guys know, while we're all coming into the chat here, I do have a small question for everybody. Okay, we have talked about merch on this channel. Unfortunately, today I was just in our merch makers factory. I was just in the silk screen shop, the print shop, the embroidery shop, ordering our first 100 shirts that are going to be given out as merch for this channel. On the last show, okay, we did a vote and we came up with what are going to be our logos, okay? And one of the logos that is going to be on the shirt is actually this guy right here. It's this logo is the one that everybody voted for. They liked that logo as well as this logo right here. So we're gonna have a cool shirt that has the big logo right here, small one right here, and a cool QR code right here. So if you want to show one of your buddies, you just got to flex those guns, you know, and then they can take a picture with their iPhone and then go straight to our show. But here's the question. Brittany the Shadow and Jacob, and then everybody else in the chat, do you want that logo to be the one that's big and loud and proud right here? Or do you think it should be the Ward Radio logo?
Ooh.
Do you think it should be the big Ward Radio? Now, the Ward Radio logo won't be colorful. It's going to be the black and white version, except for the lightning bolts coming out, which is actually the radio signal. Those will be gray. So it's going to be black background, white wording that says Ward Radio with the radio and the lightning bolts being gray. And here in this one, the Ward Radio letters are going to be gray and the background will be white. Which one do you think should be in front? Which one do you think should be on the side?
I think the Ward Radio logo, the one that's behind me right now, I think that one should be on the front, and then the boombox should be on the back or on the sides.
Yeah,
I was
going
to say the opposite.
Really? Why were you going to say the opposite, babe?
Because I was.
Well, I'm worried though that this might look like boobs if it was on a T-shirt, and then girls might
now
be
that
a
you
little
say
bit,
it.
you know, like, well, I mean, come on, if like girls are walking around with that, it's a little bit misplaced.
What
You know
about
what I'm
this? What about this? What if we just say in letters Ward Radio, and then on the sleeve we can have that or the official logo?
You know what? The first 100 or the first 100, if they stink, we'll adjust.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? But you bring up a good point, and maybe we just have the word that says Ward Radio. It could be that way as well. I'm not sure, but a lot of people seem to like the Ward Radio logo. I was actually surprised how many people just wanted the logo. Carla Vega says fair assessment in terms of not putting that one
Or
straight.
have nothing on the front and just have that on the back.
I know I got 2 first-time listeners listening to this live stream, Chad and Tony. I need them to jump in the chat and let me know what they think.
Okay,
That's
excellent.
what they need to do.
Chad and Tony, jump on in. Now, the last thing too is everybody, if you can, please let us know. I'm going to be putting up what's it called when you ask everybody's opinion? Oh, I'm going to be putting up a poll. Gosh, that was so embarrassing. That was the word I was looking for. I'm going to be putting up a poll trying to get everybody's size here. So that I do.
Oh, look, everyone likes my ideas.
Everybody likes your ideas.
And when I say everyone, I mean like 2 people.
Okay. Yes. But
I'm feeling validated.
yeah, I would as well if I were in your situation. Also, before we go any farther, talking today about some analysis of BYU stuff, we'd like to welcome to the Zoom machine none other than Luke Hansen of
What up?
Cougar Croc. Man, and you spell it S-O-N, and Jacob Hansen spells it S-E-N.
I spell it the right way, the way the
Yeah,
The
and
son
did.
of Han.
Yeah, the son of Han.
Hansen.
Yeah, exactly. So I try not to get confused between you two. So anyway, the good news is, guys, is we are one step closer now to getting the shirts made. I think it's going to be the Ward Radio logo in front, and then there's going to be the 2 on the side. You don't think so, babe?
Just say Ward Radio and then have the logos on the sleeve or in the back.
I was always told to trust a woman's judgment in matters of fashion.
You may win, and we will discuss. We will discuss this afterwards, but you're probably going to get what you want, babe.
I usually do.
You know, that's savage. That's funny. All right. So anyway, today's topic now, as everybody's coming into the chat. All right. Just so you know, we got a really fun rule here. We try and read all of the super chats still. We're not such big deals that we can't read all the super chats yet. And if you join during the live stream, then you will have your records read in front of the congregation. So our first super chat, you want to be keepers of the chats?
Sure.
This time,
my
babe?
phone has like 25%, so I'm good.
Oh, you're
for a little
good?
bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Awesome. So first super chat.
Jared Anderson says, how long until Pastor Jeff?
Oh, Pastor Jeff. I got a good dialogue with Pastor Jeff. I haven't spoken with him for about a month because I've been swamped with some of the daily content here. The early morning cup of Carden is it's difficult to pull off. I mean, it's rewarding. And by the way, if there's any proof that what we do here at Ward Radio, whether it's live or not or pre-recorded, here's your proof right there. Here's today's video. do you notice that when I made the thumbnail for this, I thought, wow, Adobe Premiere is doing facial recognition now. Like, what's going on? And so I edited the thumbnail and I threw it up. And it wasn't until I saw the first comment I realized that I hadn't noticed that the automatic face recognition function was still coming through the HDMI cord. And I literally just released an entire video today. Look at this. I released an entire video today with me talking with the little autofocus box still on my face. I mean, if that's not proof that what we're doing here is actually daily and done live, I don't know what is. So anyway, without any further ado, we got everybody here in the chat. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you have any questions or any comments that are germane to the conversation and are appropriate to be read on air, then we would love to read them. Please make sure that you send us a super chat. But yeah, without any further ado, here we're going to talk some BYU criticism here and some flack that our boy Jacob Hansen has received for his analysis on some BYU isms here. And look, we're all ex-BYU people here, you know, and Jacob, tell us what we're talking about today. I give you the floor.
All right. So, Public Square Mag, which I actually love. Everyone should check out Public Square Magazine. They have really good, thoughtful takes on things with the church. They wrote.
If I didn't know it was a church magazine, it would sound like a communist newsletter. I got to be honest with you. Like Public Square Magazine sounds like it's like underground red literature.
It goes beyond just stuff within the church. It gets much more to social commentary and stuff, but it's done by Latter-day Saints mostly, and it's really good stuff overall. I'm a big fan of it. Encourage people to read it. They had a recent article that came out about BYU, and it was basically critical of people that were critical of BYU. Basically, if people are out online putting out content criticizing BYU, it was kind of a pushback on that. And it was titled, Is BYU Too Liberal? And it was written by Jeffrey Thane, who, just so everyone knows, I'm a huge Jeffrey Thane fan. So I push back on my friends if I think that they're off base on things, which I'll push back on Jeffrey a little bit here. But Jeffrey, if you guys don't know who he is, he's a psychology professor at BYU, Idaho. And he did an excellent presentation for FAIR on expressive individualism. So if anyone wants to go and look that up.
Wait, sorry, what was his name?
Jeffrey Thane.
I didn't have him.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Where's the butt though? New. Where's the butt though, bro? Because just like I was saying in Jeff Durbin's video, when Jeff Durbin comes out, he's like, Mormons, they're great people, and I love their soda shops, and they're rah 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 rah, but they're going to hell, right? You know what I'm saying? Where's the butt, dog? Where's the meat of this, man?
So the butt is. Essentially, he wrote an article that I can't say that I agree with on. It's on this idea of if BYU is too liberal and on sort of people losing confidence in BYU.
Look. Can you put this in layman's terms? I know you try and argue.
I'll put it in layman's terms.
There we go. Here we go. Okay, so did he criticize you?
He called out, not by name, but he essentially called out Cougar Chronicle, Quick Media, Word Radio, Thoughtful Faith. People, yes. And
even you, Carden. Even you.
What did we
do? We'll read the exact words.
How did we get the boomers who publish an online magazine for other boomers angry at us?
Because we are diminishing confidence in the institutions that they don't deserve.
Oh.
And
so
there's an aspect of not going through proper channels that kind of stuff. We
So-
can get into the exact words, but
Yeah,
that's
well,
the gist
yes,
of it.
please. You put this in layman's terms. So, what I couldn't get out of Jacob Hansen here, because he was trying to hedge his bets and not get into trouble, you know what I'm saying? I finally got out of Luke Hansen here. The
You
better
don't get away with
Hansen.
calling out the Cougar Chronicle like that, man.
Okay, so here's the article right here. It says, On Confidence in BYU's Mission and Potential. Dialogue, Social Justice by Jeffrey Thame. January 3rd, 2024. Okay, so this came out this month, but then again, magazines are periodicals. So anyway, it's natural to air our frustrations. Sometimes that works, and other times it can hurt the very thing we aim to help. Okay, so they're going to come down and say we did something wrong, and they're going to use a rubric, I assume, of 1960s social norms instead of what we actually said to justify their anger. And then all of the boomers are going to talk to the other boomers about how those young kids, they're on our lawn.
can
Get
we-
off our lawn!
I wouldn't put it that way, but like if you want to, I guess I can't stop you.
Okay, well, correct me.
Man, this is wild. Luke is even more heated than me on this. Like, I'm usually the
Okay,
one
so
who's
what
the-
did they say? What
yelling and
are the
screaming.
what do you feel was incorrectly misrepresented? By the way, for any of our audience that doesn't know what the Cougar Chronicle is, the Cougar Chronicle is, I'm putting it up on the screen. The Cougar Chronicle used to be called Conservatives at BYU, right? But it's really just an Instagram page that functions as what? A de facto conservative newsletter on campus at BYU. Is that a fair representation, Luke?
Yeah, we have a pretty good following on Twitter X, formerly Twitter now, and also on campus.
Okay,
Like
cool.
we'll partner with other groups to do stuff.
So what did you do
But
wrong?
Mostly the Cougar Chronicle revolves around advocating for this is the mission statement, advocating for a conservative perspective at BYU campus through a gospel lens. So gospel first, that's the lens we're looking through, but then we bring that conservative perspective. We're open about it. Sometimes people yell at us for like being biased and stuff. Like, yeah, we told you that already. So this is where you come for that.
Okay, cool.
So the Cougar Chronicle, and people are probably aware of this, but they've put out a number of stories over the years. The first big one was the BYU volleyball story that most of us have
You
heard
mean
about
the
and talked
volleyball hoax where somebody accused a bunch of BYU students of using slanderous racial terms?
about.
But
Unfortunately, it turned out that way.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys disproved the BYU volleyball hoax while all the boomer the boomer administrators were trying to lay over and throw the student body under the bus and say, yes, we know the students are racist, but we're not.
I was quite unhappy with Tom Homo's behavior and speech during that time. And I was actually the one that wrote the open letter on behalf of the Cougar Chronicle to him. And it got a lot of traction, a couple hundred likes, 500 likes on Instagram. So
Oh, wow, that was enough to
Yeah,
piss off
so-
the people over at Public Square, huh?
So
Well,
there's
Wow.
not really a way. If this guy's been following BYU criticism, which he apparently has, there's no way that he is not talking about Cougar Chronicle and Quick Media specifically
Okay,
in
wow.
this article.
Dude, I got to tell you, man, between those, we won't air the exact specifics here because, this is kind of getting documented for evidence, but the weird threats that you guys have gotten lately, from people,
Mhm.
and now this is kind of like why I worry. Is this a case where feckless leadership that confuses 1960s social norms for the doctrine of Jesus Christ are now teaming up with the enemies of the church to go against the few people with limited resources who dare to be thought criminals and say, hold on a second, this doesn't make sense? Is this feckless boomers teaming up with our enemies to come after you?
I wouldn't go that
and it's
far.
weakness, or is this, because I haven't read this article. I'm coming at this
Can
with
we
my
dig
usual.
into it? Can we dig into the article a little bit?
Let-
I'd like to go over some of the specific things
Yeah.
that were said.
Okay, let's dig into it. Is that fine
I'll
with
just
you,
say
Luke?
I wouldn't go as far as what you're saying right now, Cardin. But yeah, we should get to the article.
Well, because you're
itself.
still trying to make friends with these people. They've told me that they objectively hate me. So, I guess I have less to lose
And
here.
I'm attached
We
to
had
you.
a very congenial conversation with one of the lawyers at BYU. It was like an hour and a half meeting. It was good stuff. So yes, I guess I am still trying to make friends with them.
An
Okay.
hour and a half meeting. My gosh.
Mhm.
Well, I just want to say I'm a huge, as I said, Jeffrey Thane fan. So I want Jeffrey to take this the right way. But there are things in this article that I just simply disagree with. It essentially is saying it doesn't.
Well, let's get the exact quotes. Did you put quote? You said
I
you're going
got
to
'em.
put quotes.
I got quotes in the Discord. I also have them right here on my phone. I can read them if you want.
Okay, you read them off your phone, and I'm going to put them up in.
Okay, I'm gonna do the first one here.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so the first one just says, to my fellow brothers and sisters who are frustrated, he's talking to all of us, I make the following appeal. Our loyalty to a beloved institution, BYU, must go deeper than our current culture war. It is a cheap loyalty that throws a beloved institution under the bus on the basis of rumors or even on the basis of valid concerns. And I want to just say that, first of all...
So you're allowed to disagree, but shut up and don't talk about it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. And
Keep your opinions to yourself.
well, it's like, we need to,
Shut up, peasants! Shut up! We have approved channels for this. Shut up!
So here's my issue. It says that it needs to go deeper than our current culture war, as if the current battle over our culture isn't like the battle. Like, oh, what matters more than culture? The culture is the thing that is pulling people in and out of the church.
And if you
Okay?
talk politics is always downstream from culture. And culture is downstream from what? Faith and beliefs. So if you're going to talk about faith and beliefs, which is the font of culture, you ultimately end up in politics. If Public Square Magazine wants to indulge into politics or social commentary, you will inherently have to talk about faith and beliefs and their intersection. You like that academic word? Their intersection, all right, with all the other aforementioned things, including the flagship institution of our church that all of us went to and want to function properly so our kids don't get brainwashed into wokeism because you've let the whole thing go by the wayside like you did the Boy Scouts.
I don't know, I'm kind of over college. I don't care if our kids go.
No, well, actually, this is one of the things I want to be very careful of. There is a point that he makes here that is important. I am, and it's actually part of the second quote. He says, for all the scaremongering about BYU going woke, it's still the most politically balanced university in the nation. And given the trends of all academic institutions to lean even more leftward, this also means it's still one of the most politically conservative universities in the nation. Now, I will say this.
I believe that.
Yes. And guess what?
We want to keep it that way.
That's the thing. And I'm planning on sending my children to the BYU schools. I encourage everyone I can to get there. They are still the best universities in this country for a Latter-day Saint to attend, bar none, in my opinion. However, that is the very reason that we care so much. That is the very reason when we see this last bastion of hope sliding ever more towards the world, it's like Jesus went and cleared the temple. It wasn't like, well, the temple's still more sacred than the Roman temples. It's like, no, this is when you have something sacred and special, you want to protect it. You become hyper vigilant over it because when it goes, there's nothing left.
There is no last resort. We are the last resort, is what you're saying. Am I correct, Jacob?
Pretty much. I don't see many good alternatives to the BYU institutions. And I agree. They are still the best. They're the best in an academic environment that is cancerous.
Well, and also the other thing too that bothers me about this is I'm so sick and tired of this weird brain damage that the gerontocracy of our country has. Whether it's our educational institutions, our spiritual institutions, our social institutions, our political institutions, all of our institutions have this same problem. It's this boomer thought crime that if you talk about an issue, you must be against it. If you talk about race, you must be racist. If you talk about, I don't know, the church, you must be disloyal to the church. There's this weird thing where if you say, I love BYU, and with my experience, I see that this could use improvement, and I don't want this to slide, you must be an apostate and against it. You know, and I just don't, it's this weird, I know studies show that boomers, the number one thing they seek out of personal relationships and out of the brands they interact with, the contractors and the service people that they use and so on and so forth. The number one thing they look for is loyalty, and maybe talking about something or something that's beloved may be perceived as some kind of infraction on loyalty, while simultaneously millennials and Gen Z and probably Gen Alpha, the number one thing they seek when polled scientifically is authenticity. And so I get that there's probably this cultural generation divide between authenticity and this friction between authenticity and loyalty. But at some point, somebody has to be big enough and smart enough and emotionally mature enough to understand that if you want to keep wokeism out of BYU and the religion of academia, that it doesn't mean you're against it. You're for it. It's just odd brain damage that I see in the gerontocracy.
And the third quote, I think, hits on this. I actually think they make a great point.
Okay.
They say institutional trust is easier to destroy than to create. Like individual trust, institutional trust is difficult to build but easy to lose. Exactly. That's why we're so concerned when they do things that break that trust that we have in that institution. If I'm going to send the most precious people in my world, my children, that I have inculcated with values to a particular institution, I'm giving you the most precious thing that I've spent 18 years of their life trying to give them the right values. I don't take that lightly. And so, yes, you better be trustworthy, and you better not do stupid things that make it unworthy of trust. And so that's why we are hyper vigilant about this. It isn't just shut up, don't talk about it. Let them do stupid things, and then all of us just sit there and be like, oh no, like just can't say anything bad about BYU. People might not think it's a great school. It's like, what? How about you guys don't do stupid crap?
Okay, well, what's the stupid crap? Are we making mountains out? Are we making mountains out of molehills?
I got a
here?
list here if you want me to go
In the
down
Discord is the most recent one. So this came out after
Just
the
the most
article,
recent.
but this is essentially what he's talking about.
Okay, so you just threw this up in the Discord. It's the Cougar Chronicle right here with the he/him stuff.
Yep.
Okay. That's funny. I thought that was your Twitter feed, and I showed that picture earlier. So, okay, cool. Let me open that up again in the browser. All right, so this is what you're talking about. What is this, my man? I don't recognize this. What is this? Talk to me.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead,
Right?
Luke.
Okay. Yeah, so this was one of the guys at the Cougar Chronicle happened across this while they were on campus, went over and took pictures, and we put it out as a story. This was Martin Luther King Day, and it was outside of the Kimball Tower, I believe, a student group on campus, private property, BYU and property, is passing out for I don't know what this has to do with Martin Luther King, especially once you understand the history of his positions on some of these things. It's a little weird, but they're passing out pride stuff, including pronouns, where you announce your pronouns, including a they them option, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, a they them option, and ask me my pronouns. So this is fairly explicitly, we should love gay people. Yes. Does the rainbow only mean that? No. The rainbow very clearly means we should accept them being married. All the rest of it that the church does not agree with, let alone the gender stuff. They them is not a family proclamation.
Sorry, there's another one in the Discord card.
Well, let Luke finish. Luke finish. Sorry. Finish, Luke.
So, and yeah, that's basically the story. And we put it out there. Here's the thing, though. Those students were allowed to do that on campus. We posted a story about it. There's people that get mad and say, BYU is worse than Harvard or Yale, that kind of stuff. Why, of the three groups, the students that were doing the wrong thing, us that noticed and told people about it, and then the people who came to bad conclusions based off of that story, why are we the bad guys? Why is the person that's talking, why are you not talking to the people who are doing this stuff on campus, or trying to address the irrational conclusions that people have come to?
So it seems like you were
the messenger, basically.
Yeah, it seems like you were just urging caution, that you're recognizing that, hey, in the whole LGBTQ argument, there's a lot of symbology here. Some of it is conducive with church doctrine, such as loving people regardless of their circumstance or immutable characteristics or their sexual orientation. God made us all children of God, and we love all people. At the same time, there is a code of ethics, and some people want to violate a code of ethics in the way that we perceive as incompatible with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if any of these symbologies are used to woo people into those kind of behaviors or activities, well, then, that's what the scriptures say should be anathema, or should be, rejected. So we don't reject the people, but we reject the bad idea. And we're concerned and urge caution about what symbology we allow on campus. And you think that this one and this one right here, such as ally is a verb and so on and so forth, stickers being sent out, you think, hey, that could be twisted to advocate for something that we really don't believe in. And so I urge caution as we approach what we allow being passed out in our private university, because after all, it's not a public university. This isn't CSUN. This isn't Cal State University Northridge. This isn't UCLA. This isn't NYU. Okay. So you urged caution. Did you do it in some horribly homophobic and bigoted way?
I I'm sure some people would say that, but no, we did not.
It's the
Then
same article.
and that's why they got mad at you at Public Square Mag.
This came out after the Public Square Mag thing, but this story is similar to many other stories that we've put out.
It's
For
demonstrative.
example, a teacher was putting essentially this same type of stuff up in their classroom last semester. So maybe
Okay.
he was referencing that, but essentially, yes, it's the same story that's happened over and over again at BYU.
So you're the peasant that asks about hey, the thing, and then the establishment come down and says, "Shut up, peasant. There's channels for this. How dare
For
you?"
those who are politically inclined, it's kind of like the Republicans pounce narrative.
Yes.
When
Yeah.
Republicans do something bad, it's here's the bad thing the Republicans are doing. Then when the Democrats do something bad, the story in the news is about how the Republicans are overreacting to it. It's kind of that kind of a vibe.
Okay. Well, got another super chat here. Brittany, keep us at the chats. Can you keep us up on the chats?
Yes. The Mind Strange. Wait, it went away. Did you see that?
No, Ryan Chai. Ryan Chai is the one that we just got.
No.
I just see the one in yellow that says, "You want me to read?"
It said the Mind Strange, and it was blue. There was no comment, but now it went away, and I don't see it.
Oh, they took back the super chat, cheapskates. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Ryan Chai says BYU students, given the school's church ties, must critically assess teachings, perhaps more than at secular schools, to avoid misplaced trust.
Oh, that's a good word. Misplaced trust. Hit it, Jacob.
So
I heard you go.
I know. I have a list here of things that so obviously the Public Square article is not about any one particular thing. It's addressing people like myself, people like Luke, people like Greg Mattson, who have raised the alarm bells about stuff that we're seeing going, what the heck is going on? Like, for instance, when Dr. Wayman said Jesus and Joseph may have been gay in a lecture that he gave. The lighting up of the
Wait. There was a BYU lecture on a gay Jesus?
Yeah, you guys can go to my channel, Thoughtful Faith, and you can look and watch what the screen recorded lecture where they talk
Kwaku?
about the possibility of Jesus being gay.
Dude, I love this. Kwaku was just with me yesterday. I just dropped him off at the airport. All right. He's going to come back in another 3 or 4 days and we'll record some cool stuff. But as we walked into like the Hobby Lobby, I don't remember what store it was, if it was Hobby Lobby or if it was Pier 1 Imports or whatever. And he laughed and he says, "Oh, yeah, we're in Los Angeles now because you can buy a black Santa," because there was like 85% off on Christmas decorations, and one of them was like the black Santa, right? And I told him, I laughed and I said, believe it or not, I said, LA, we've always been super diverse. You've always been able to get really, really cool stuff here that you can't get anywhere else. But man, we're not woke. California is post-woke. We invented it 30 years ago, and we got it out of our system like bad bell bottoms in the 80s, okay? And I said, I'll tell you right now, like Utah has more crazy, stupid, silly woke issues right now. Salt Lake City is more woke of a city than Los Angeles is, okay? And to me, this ultimately proves it. Like at UCLA, there's no seminar going on right now about like gay Jesus. Okay, it's just,
Well,
like
and again, just I can list them off. You got the gay Jesus thing. You got the rainbow Y lit up on the hill. You have Ryan.
now that was a funny prank.
All right, fine.
That
Let's keep
was
going.
a funny prank.
Let's
I
keep
give
going.
those,
It still
I
shows
give
the
those
culture.
guys credit. That was funny. Now, the first time it was funny. The second, third, and fourth time, it's like, come on, get over yourselves. But the first time that happened, that was funny. And that wasn't sanctioned by BYU. That was a bunch of ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon gay rights people, right?
You're right, but I'll tell you what, a lot of the BYU crowd sure were happy about it. We got people like, Ryan Gabriel, Rebecca DeSchweinitz, promoting racism through Ibram Kendi. You have the Black Menaces running around campus doing absolute insanity, and no one does anything about it. You have the Maxwell Institute.
We should also note Ryan Gabriel gave a racism BYU devotional address.
Yeah,
This wasn't like a
it's-
single class. This
watch-
was like a
Yeah, watch my channel. I can give you guys you can see exactly what he says. It's absolutely insane. The Maxwell Institute hosted James C. Jones, who's trying to sell critical race theory training to wards. In that meeting, which I was a part of, they were talking about what can we do to help you get this into wards and stake. And by the way, critical race theory is racist. We have Rachel Gianni Abbott praying to Heavenly Mother in BYU meetings. We have Jane Lopez, who is giving assignments on how whiteness is problematic. I mean, you can go on and on and on. But here, again, this article...
is all at BYU?
I can give you two more.
Okay, two more. Luke.
We got Sarah Coyne, who is advertising her like 11-year-old boy who dresses up in dresses all the time in her class. And then we've also got Eric Bybee, who suggested painting your nails as a gender bending social contract breaking assignment.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then you have...
So, yeah.
But here, remember, that's not the problem.
But are
The
these
problem
like
is
campus
that-
wide, or is it just like little things and they're not that big?
They are... They
I mean, when it's a BYU devotional, that's kind of a campus-wide big thing.
Yeah.
The
But what were they saying in the devotional? Was it?
Basically, Satan is happy when he convinces us that like race isn't an issue. I'll have to go. No,
That
Satan
race
is
is not
happy when
an
he
issue?
convinces us of the virtue of colorblindness.
Well,
It's basically an exact quote.
here's the issue. Remember, regardless of how big these problems are, the article in Public Square is not criticizing us saying that we're off base and these weren't a big deal. What they're mad about is that we noticed. They're mad that we are actually out there saying, hey, what the heck is going on here? Raising the alarm bells because they're saying, you guys are going to erode trust in the institution. And it's like, no. The people who are going to erode trust in the institution are the people that are allowing this kind of stuff to happen. We're just noticing it.
Dude, this is just like, this is what California Democrats did 10 years ago. I have a bunch of buddies that were lobbyists for a long time for a couple of candidates, or not candidates, people that actually held office. There's like only 7 Republicans in all of California. Okay. So, you know, if you help out one Republican campaign, you've probably met the donors and helped out all the rest of them tangentially somehow because there's so few of them. Right. And what's hilarious was one of them went to go get like some piece of paper filed for some kind of measure that they were supporting that would lower a tax that was shown to be like one of the number one taxes that prohibited people from starting business, and in exit polls of people who left the state saying this is one of the crushing taxes that made me reconsider opening my business elsewhere. And so they were trying to get some measure on the ballot to lower that tax, all right? Because that's really all you can get away with as a Republican in California is hopefully lowering some tax somewhere, right? And no joke, okay? The guy behind the desk got angry at him and said, what are you doing? And he said, well, we're trying to lower one of the principal taxes that people say is the reason why their business was chased out of California. And what's funny is the bureaucrat gets angry and looks up and says, they only leave because you tell them how bad it is. You know? And it's like, no, we think the 45,000 people a month that are hemorrhaging out of our state due to crippling taxes that are rivaled only by socialist countries in Western Europe. We think that they can think on their own and have actually concluded on their own that, wow, we have a crippling tax structure here. We might reconsider business elsewhere. And it's not just us telling people how bad it is, right? And by the way, it's not just the peasants. Peasant Luke or peasant Jacob here that are noticing.
I'm not a peasant.
No, you're not a
Thank
peasant.
you
are
for
a
not
queen.
including me.
You slay, girl. You slay. So it's not just the peasants, Jacob and Luke, that are noticing this. I've got inside tracks with some major donors of BYU, and you know that kind of behind closed doors meeting that the biggest donors of BYU have with the general authority that's in charge and the president and so on and so forth. At the meeting 2 meetings ago, which would have been in the 3rd fiscal year ago, one of the biggest donors got up, and it was this woman where, you know, she'd married one of Utah's first billionaires. He had established a trust before he died. She was still alive. A woman was probably in her 80s or her 90s. Okay. And she was allowed to ask a question during the question and answer forum, right? And she got up and she said, you know, I'm on my third granddaughter that has gone to BYU with natural hair color and a testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and then has returned or left with no testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ and unnatural hair colors. And what are, I know, does that sound like some old woman like Sister already talking like, my granddaughter has left with an unnatural hair color, right? I could totally see my grandma saying that, right? But she said, like, what are you doing to stop these bad ideas that are infecting our kids' minds, like my granddaughter, that are keep making them lose their testimonies, right? And you know, the church president, not church, the president of the university, you know, gets up and at first says, oh, well, you know, there's agency and this and that, you know, we can't save every single one or whatever. And, of course I'm just regurgitating the story and I'm probably doing a horrible job of retelling it and so on and so forth. So just take this with a grain of salt as all but hearsay for all I care. Okay. But, apparently, according to my source, right. The very wealthy donor next to her, after he hemmed and hawed, actually grabbed the microphone and said, no. This is a real problem and a real issue that has many of us donors concerned. What are you doing? And all of a sudden, like, apparently, like, it was like, oh, whoa, the donors be angry now. I mean, it's one thing to have the peasants like Jacob and the peasants like Luke angry at us, okay?
Well, here's the quote.
But now the donors are angry. Oh, you got a quote?
Oh, I got a quote.
Okay.
It says, here's what he says. He says, fomenting online outrage does not do any actual good. Not because these stories aren't important. The right people should hear them, but your Facebook friends and Twitter followers are not the right people.
BS. What just happened this week? Ed?
Oh.
I won't say it. I won't say it for you, Ed. I won't say it for you. But I know for a fact something we were complaining about on this show got mother-frickin' remedied, all right? So don't act like that don't make a difference. Okay.
Oh,
so.
I'd love it. I hope some.
This is activism towards the church.
No, it's activism towards BYU.
Why are we mad at other people like Julie Hanks doing it if we're doing the same thing?
Yeah, no, this isn't activism towards the church. It's activism towards the feckless bureaucrat who is not defending the church.
Bingo.
You know, like,
Yep.
That's a total difference here. We are defending doctrine, not trying to warp it into secularism. We're trying
You might say that we're anxiously engaged in a good cause and trying to do many things of our own free will to bring to pass much righteousness. You might say that.
And I will shroud every one of my cynical and angry things I say on this show in pure piety. Thus sugarcoating over the devil himself, as Shakespeare says, right?
Could I read to you a scripture that I think backs this up? So these are from the Words of Mormon 1:17 and 18, and it says, For behold, King Benjamin was a holy man, and he did reign over his people in righteousness. And there were many holy men in the land, and they did speak the word of God with power and authority, and thus they did use much sharpness because of the stiff-neckedness of the people. Wherefore, with the help of these, King Benjamin, by laboring with all the might of his body and faculty of his own soul, and also by the prophets, did once more establish peace in the land. In other words, it can't just be the brethren who are leading the charge. Nothing that we are saying is going contrary to the authorities of the church.
Lift where you stand, brethren. Lift where you stand. Go out. Raise your voice. The second you do, shut up, peasant. We got this under control.
Exactly. And so it's sort of like I've often said
we're going to throw an online boomer magazine at you.
I've genuinely been like, look,
they literally wrote you a strongly worded letter.
Jacob talk.
Okay, sorry.
No, so what the issue is this. It's that I've often wondered, why in the heck why do I exist with my show? Why? There are other people that should be doing this. Like, I'm a nobody. Why is it not that the real academic powerhouses of our church aren't the ones out there on the front lines defending the doctrine and trying to, like, the fact that these sorts of things are being tolerated at all at BYU is the thing that gives me concern. Because, and I'm sorry, at some point, if, as you said, the mid-level managers, the bureaucrats in the church, if they're not going to stand up for the doctrine that's taught by the quorum of the 12 apostles, the authorities who I sustain, then I'm going to start doing it, and I'm going to call them out as cowards when they won't.
Wow, them be fighting words. Sorry, a bunch of super chats came in, so
here's another thought too.
Okay.
That just popped into my brain.
Oh, I'm really glad you finished wiggling your hand because it looked like you were kind of flipping off the camera there for a second.
Well, maybe I was.
with a very good mani petty.
This
Those
is
are
just
nice
a Manny.
nails.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Oh, thank you, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, now I forgot what I was gonna say, but hold on, let me think.
Do you need a minute?
No, I was just gonna say maybe BYU needs to take a look at BYU Idaho of how to run things. Because BYU, maybe I'm a little salty, okay? I didn't get into Provo. My GPA was like 3.6. Pretty good, right? No, but I had friends, 4.0. But then I also had friends that maybe were a little bit like, wayward, had a lower GPA. But the bishop said, I think going to BYU would help their testimony. So they got in. So maybe admissions needs to be a little bit more specific of who they let in. Do you want to just let in the 4.0s and just go totally academic? Oh, that wasn't a word.
You mixed
Academic,
academia
yeah.
with academic. That was awesome, babe.
They would want to go like academic route, or do you want to go and strengthen testimonies and maybe not let in so many 4.0 scholar people in? But right now it's like you're going this way and you're letting in the wayward people. And I don't know. I just feel like the problems with admissions.
Well, they're trying to get the best of both worlds. World-class bigot, the Richard Spencer of Mormonism, the evil boogie monster that literally resides in the closet of Public Square magazine, Greg Mattson himself. All right, has often said, it's the religion of academia. And he quotes, one of the authorities at BYU that claimed he wanted to make BYU the Harvard of the West. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, if you want to do that, like Brittany the Shadow says here, you either need to make it a meritocracy with your admissions, or if you're trying to make it a religious school that strengthens testimonies where you come in to learn and you exit to serve, as the mission statement really is, well, then maybe you need to consider other admissions characteristics. But you can't serve two masters, okay? You can't be the faith-promoting school, but then also be committed to the religion of academia. Either you're committed to our religion or you're committed to the religion of academia. But you can't be out there rewriting history with the 1619 Project, smearing DEI everywhere, and telling everyone that being colorblind, like Martin Luther King supposedly advocated for, that's not enough. No, you have to be anti-racist, which means hate yourself and all white people and find it problematic wherever you go on campus. Okay, those issues, they're antithetical to the gospel of Jesus Christ because they promote skin color and immutable characteristics as your primary identity instead of your identity, as Russell M. Nelson says, first as a child of God. And yes, Greg Mattson brings up some good points. Sometimes do I feel like conservatives are grasping at a little bit of straws and they kind of need to chill out, like Jacob Hansen here? Yes, every once in a while.
Hold on.
Every once in a while. Once in a while. But by and large, I think you're right. By the way, I just said that to get you angry. You totally took the bait.
You're right. And I'm going to take the bait every time. People frame me as a conservative. I reject political labels on me altogether.
I'm going to Google conservative right now. And a man with a beard and a t-shirt of jujitsu that looks just like yours with an O'Neill hat is going to come up. I'm going to Google conservative male in America and a picture of Jacob Hansen is going to come up.
Well, this is the problem. I get stereotyped and put into a box. The reality is I do have one thing that I adhere to, and that is the gospel of Jesus Christ as best that I can. Okay? And I want to know if something aligns with Jesus Christ. That's all I care about. Whether you label it conservative, whether you label it liberal or libertarian or anarchist or whatever the heck you want to label it, I don't care. I just care if it aligns with Jesus Christ. I am a Christian fundamentally.
Okay, so you know what's really funny?
And Jesus would have let me into BYU Provo.
Yeah, WWJD, let in Brittany the Shadow. So here's what's funny is I actually just Googled conservative millennial commentator, and the first thing that came out was a bunch of pictures of Tommy Loren. So maybe I was wrong in my assessment, but
I thought it was Tommy Lauren. Is it Loren?
I think it's Lauren.
Oh, it's Tommy
Jacob.
Lauren.
I know.
What?
Yeah.
She's hot. Why are you guys talking
Oh
on
my
her?
gosh. Okay,
What?
can I
Because
do
I'm
this?
actually judging her point of view. Anyway, let's continue.
Okay, I gotta read super
Look,
chats.
I'd rather hear propaganda from a 7 out of
I'm
10 masquerading as a 9 than,
Okay, I'm interjecting. I'm reading super chats.
Yes, go for it, girlfriend.
Okay. Polly Nikes 2000 says there are no right people, only truthful ideas.
Ah,
Amen.
Okay.
That was pretty deep.
There we go.
Ryan Chai, donor family here. LDS Philanthropy has been working hard to, what's that word? Assuage?
Assuage.
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 Okay.
What is? I didn't go to Provo. Sorry. See.
Yeah.
I don't know. The concerns. Last we heard was brethren are
I didn't marry
very-
you for your vocab, babe. No, I'm just kidding.
Last we heard was brethren are very aware. Other families have been shared concerns outside of social media
Is
content.
that coffee, Luke?
No.
Prove it.
This
prove
is
it.
water.
I'm going to smell your cup. No, I'm
What-
just kidding.
How do I prove it?
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Okay,
Keep
did you
going.
hear my
This
super
one is
chat?
tea, though.
Oh, really?
This one's herbal
Oh
tea.
my gosh.
Ah, yeah, right. Anyway, keep going. Brittany the Shadow is
Mhm.
reading the super chats. Go, Brittany.
It's like herding cats on this podcast.
Hey, Cardin did, not me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, did you hear my super chat? Do I need to read it
No,
again?
read it again. Read it again. I was watching coffee drinker Luke just
my gosh.
imbibe himself with caffeine.
I'm just trying to take a drink
It's
while
liquor.
the focus is elsewhere.
You're just making me reread this because I didn't know that word and I already forgot it. So here we go. Donor family here. LDS Philanthropy has been working hard to assuage concerns. Last we heard was brethren are very aware. Other families have shared concerns outside of social media content.
I wonder how they were made aware of these things.
Oh, look at us being a bunch of
A pigeon.
activists.
Good.
Carrier
I want to
pigeon.
be. I want to be an activist against the bureaucrats in the church to support the brethren.
Yeah, actually, see, now that's a very. Our church did not have this bureaucratic problem until 1977 when Spencer W. Kimball formed the bureaucracy of the church that was meant to aid the priesthood in the administration of the church. But now the bureaucracy has become so big and so ineffectual that I would actually say it's now a burden upon the priesthood. And there's good people in the church office building that do great things. But unfortunately, the boomer ethos of the gerontocracy of not firing people, of, just niceness culture being a false idol that we worship instead of, I don't know, the gospel of Jesus Christ in some cases, not all. These people, I'll tell you right now, 90% of them are wholly decent in every way, and we're not saying that this is an indictment of the whole entire building, but when you're allowed to get away with some of these pranks, as long as they do, methinks that somebody's not in charge wearing big boy pants, methinks that somebody needs to be replaced or needs to be put in, I don't know, those people that pass out hymnals in the opening of church, the greeters. Somebody needs to be made a ward greeter now instead of like the dean of X school that literally who was Professor Pagan that came in and said the Book of Mormon was the Book of Mormon needs to be reread as every time it says iniquity, we need to read
Inequity.
a
lack of equity.
a lack of equity.
Communist.
And then now, by the way, I think he should be allowed to say that and draw those conclusions and be a full-blown card-carrying communist who's allowed to give a speech about Viva la Revolucion and all that other stuff, right? But like you have to let like Dennis Prager in there with like the Turning Point USA people afterwards to balance things out. It's the fact that they don't let the Turning Point
That'd be
USA
so
people-
awesome.
Yeah, So anyway, all right, Luke. Who?
We have more super chats.
Oh, more super chats. Go, Brittany.
Yeah.
Angel Luna says Book of Mormon quote was on point. Love y'all.
Ooh.
I don't know who said that, but
Thank
you were on point.
It was me.
Jacob, you
Well,
were
That's
on
on
yeah,
point.
my-
I
that's-
did a DNC, and then Jacob did a Book of Mormon, and then Cardin did a conference talk.
Yeah. So where's the
So we
super
got
chat for the
it covered
conference
on all
talk?
three legs.
Where's the super chat for the conference talk? And where's the super chat for the Doctrine and Covenants? Like, geez.
Come on, Angel Luna.
I'm just kidding. Thank you very much, Angel Luna, for the super chat. Keep going, Bird.
Danny Gray says, someone please resurrect Porter Rockwell to take care of these professors who keep trading in their muskets for mani-pedis. Where are the warriors?
Wait, I want to read that one again. Danny Gray, that was hilarious. Wait, where did he say? Where did he say this?
It's right. No, you passed it. Go down.
Okay.
Right there.
Someone please resurrect Porter Rockwell to take care of these professors who keep trading in their muskets for mani-pedis. Where are the warriors? That is funny. Now, obviously, this was a proverbial joke, okay? And by take care of, he means to sit down and have a firm talking to. But the phraseology of trading in their muskets for mani-pedis, that is... That's going to be a quote on the show somewhere. Hast thou traded in thine musket for one mani-pedi? That is funny. Okay, Brittany, keep going.
Okay, Chris C says, BYU Zoobies say, what's a Zoobie? If they go woke, we older people may get canceled. How and what is being taught? Kyle, Joe Mama loves ya.
Okay, Kyle, your mama loves you. And what is a Zubi? They're asking for the definition of a Zubi. A Zubi was a student at BYU, as phraseology from the 60s and 70s. My parents used to call BYU students Zubis.
Really?
Yeah, you never heard that term before, Lou?
No.
I had no idea what the super chat was
That's
saying, to be
weird.
honest.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know
no.
what a Zubi is.
BYU students used to be called Zubis. And it's just like in the 70s, they used to call girls at a university co-eds. You know, but like now we
Man,
just
you
call them
are
students.
Old, Carden. Are you sure you're
No,
not
I'm
boomer
just
yourself?
I'm just
Goodness
hip.
gracious.
And I watch
old.
I saw Animal House with John Belushi, all right? You know, I know these things. What were you looking up in the sky for? You never saw the movie Animal House?
No.
Me? No, I
Philistines. You're all Philistines. Uninitiated Philistines. I'm a Hollywood guy and I worked at Universal, so I had to know a lot of old classic movies that all the boomers liked, okay? We could talk, Stanley Kubrick. We can talk them all, okay? But let's move on to the super
You're losing the
chats.
audience, Carden. Our
No, I'm
audience is
not, because
that
Glenn
old.
Hickman's here. Because Glenn Hickman's here, and he remembers. Anyway, keep going. Keep going.
Okay. Charlotte Clark. Charlotte! She says, quote, we criticize the mid-level bureaucrats who refuse to defend the doctrines of the church, end quote. Hear, hear. Cheers to Christ Church. Cheers to the institution he set up.
All right.
And down with those who are working to corrupt it and bastardize it.
Wow. Okay. That was a very, very strong phraseology.
Okay.
Good job, Jacob. Go, Brittany.
Okay. Be fit to be fit says, miss the sacrament. I guess I get a metal chair.
That's
Indeed
funny.
you do.
At least
That's
it's easier
funny.
to eat snacks back there. I mean, you can like steal some fruit snacks, you know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going.
Glenn Hickman says, I think the Lord is allowing these bad things at BYU to happen to test the saints to see if they will wield the sword of justice in defense and truth and virtue. It's a wheat and tear issue.
Well, that's what we're supposed to do in public. And I really don't like it when bishops let men who have zero testimony and are actually kind of antagonistic towards the church and spoiled little rebels go on mission saying, he'll get his testimony out in the mission field, because that's a violation of the scripture that says elders are called to teach, not to learn. And there's been a whole epidemic of bad parenting where parents didn't want to have crucial conversations with their kids. So they thought, oh, well, we're going to send them to church to gain a testimony, and we're going to offload our parental responsibility on the teachers at church. And the teachers at church didn't want to have to mess with him. And so they just gave him treats and refreshments and said, oh, you know what? It's fine. They'll get their testimony when they go to seminary. You know what I'm saying? And then you just have like this horrible generation that's too busy getting rich to actually have crucial conversations with its kids, breeding an entire generation of people who are going to go on and serve missions, supposedly representing the gospel of Jesus Christ, only to come home, be inactive, and then start an anti-Mormon blog somewhere, right? So I'm tired of gosh, what did he say? I'm trying to respond to this. The truth, it's wheat and tares. Yeah, I'm tired of people trying to say like, oh, well, this is part of the plan. No, in public there's wheat and tares. But like at BYU, if we're going to be the religious university that is literally trying to strengthen testimonies, then we can't be deferring onto scripture and the responsibility onto scripture. I'm not saying you're doing this, Glenn, but a lot of the people that quote this whole wheat and tares thing are oftentimes just like that bishop that doesn't have the guts to tell a guy he's got to get his life in order before he becomes a missionary because, he doesn't want to anger brother and sister Williams, okay? Just like that happens on the local level. I feel sometimes people they'll say like, oh, well, it's a wheat and tares issue, as though it's some kind of like absolution for just poor leadership. You know, I don't think it is. BYU is meant to be the flagship school. It's meant to represent the church. So let's start representing it, you know?
Okay, we don't gotta like attack the super chat like that.
No, I wasn't attacking the super chat. I was attacking the idea. And Glenn knows he is beloved.
Everybody loves Glenn.
He is beloved. Okay. Although he's still wearing a mask in his bio, and that makes me question, you know, next pronouns are showing up, huh? No, I'm just kidding. I totally just kidding.
Okay, next super chat.
What?
Angel Luna again says, "For your troubles, Cardin."
Aw, thank you, Angel Luna.
And last one, RJ Johnson says, "Thank you, sir. May I have another, a new low?"
Thank you, sir. May I have another, a new low? Well, thank you, sir. May I have another is actually Kevin Bacon in one of his first films. I think where he was playing somebody who gets punished in boot camp or whatever. There's a famous phrase where
it made me think of Oliver.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Hey, sir.
A movie reference.
I have some more.
Okay, so anyway, Jacob, you started us off. Well, where are we going now?
Let's go.
Public Square Mag is mad at you for a peasant who spoke up and asked questions.
Well, I'm going to have Luke. Luke, I think, has another quote real quick to read from this article, and then I'm going to have one right after that, just because I think these ones kind of sum it up, and we'll kind of wrap up on this, because I think there's another angle to this that I think needs to be hit. Go ahead, Luke, if you want to read the one.
So there's number 5.
Yeah, go ahead and read that one.
Were you planning on reading number 4?
Just hit number 5 real quick.
Okay.
Actually, no, read 4 and 5. Read both of them.
Okay. So this paragraph 4, fomenting online outrage does not do any actual good. Not because those stories aren't important, the right people should hear them, but your Facebook friends and Twitter followers are not the right people. Okay, now number 5. Let's not make our trust in church universities the latest victim of the culture war. I invite Latter-day Saint journalists, I assume maybe the Cougar Chronicle, and podcasters, you guys, who concentrate and amplify stories about faculty or student misbehavior at BYU to consider a more productive approach. Broadcasting them in public venues doesn't actually...
What arrogance to assume that their boomer ways are more productive. 82% of millennials are inactive, boneheads. You guys were in charge for 30 years. You were allowed to be productive as you ran the ship. You ran 82% of your children's generation out of the church. Talk to me about how productive you are, dog. If you were a baseball coach and you chased away 82% of your team, you'd be considered the worst baseball coach on the planet.
To be fair, did they chase them out, or are we just kind of weak in this generation?
I used to be a little bit more of the millennials are weak thought process until I became intimately aware with the laziness and fecklessness and the pride cycle of previous generations that are like Kronos. They decided to eat their children's futures to save their financial pensions. Like, come on, babe. This is the same generation. I graduated in 2008. And in 2008, the worst crash came. And all of the boomers that had leveraged off of crappy mortgages, the entire economy of the United States of America said, hey, look, we might lose a little bit on our pension here. Okay, so you young people, you need to pay for a bunch of bailouts or else the old people are going to suffer. And the old people, the boomers, they're our biggest voting bloc. And we need their votes and we don't want them to suffer because they're the sacred cows of our society. Now, you're young. This might put you back 4 or 5 years. This might indebt you another 7 to 10 years. But at the end of the day, you're young. Time is on your side. You know, take one for the team. Young people, you should sacrifice some of your future for the old people. We all bought onto it, right? Then 4 years later, Obamacare comes down the pike and they're like, oh, the sacred cow boomers. Oh, the boomers. Oh no, they're paying a lot for their medical costs because not our poor decision making and our hyper regulation and our bad medical legislation has driven up the cost of medical care. No. It came out of the ether. Nobody knows where it happened. And so you young people, you're not paying enough. You're not paying enough. You need to pay more. So we can't raise the prices on the old people. So we got to raise the price of the young people. The soundbite was young people need to pay more. And what did they tell us? Look, well, this will put you back another 4 or 5 years on top of the other 4 or 5 years we already put you back. But, you know, you're young. Time is on your side. And then fast forward until 2019. Oh, no, there's this worldwide pandemic that has a 99.9% survival rate, you know, and it's taken out the people with pre-existing conditions. And what? Some elderly people. But instead of being smart, like every other single pandemic we ever had, in quarantining the vulnerable, no, we quarantined everybody. And young people, you might have to lose your job and you might have to shut down your business, and this may put you back, but we have to now have these big bailouts and these big loans, these SBA loans for boomers. 82% of SBA money and loans during the bailouts of COVID went to boomers. And it was the first time in American history where there was a transfer of wealth upward. Pre-pandemic, millennials controlled 18% of the American economy. Post-pandemic, they control only 9%, and 4.8% of that 9% is Mark Zuckerberg. The average millennial participates in only 4.5% of the American economy, even though it is now the largest voting bloc. My entire life, I've been told that in service of boomers and their comfort, I need to sacrifice. And then when that puts me 4 + 4 + 4 years behind financially, drowning in student loans, and my friends can't buy houses because they still have $100,000 of student loan debt out there. When I'm told it's my generation's failure to launch, I reject that thesis. When I'm told it's their laziness, I reject that thesis. Every single one of my friends has already bought 2 houses worth of down payments just paying off their stupid student loans that the boomers now said you can't even get out of when you die.
Okay, so is it fair to say that you blame the boomers?
Well, no, I'm just saying that when you said maybe it's our generation's suckiness, no, I reject that. I don't think we're that much different than any other generation. But boy, the burden the average millennial was given is gargantuan. And the sad thing is, we're too young to own property, too old to be TikTok stars.
So
Oh, man,
I
this is
think
depressing.
the
It
line
kind of feels
here-
like we might have hit a nerve there.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
entirely sure, but
No.
I'm getting that vibe.
And Luke, I think
So-
you hit the key line there when you said in that quote, I invite Latter-day Saint journalists and podcasters who concentrate and amplify stories about faculty or student misbehavior at BYU to consider a more productive approach.
By what rubric? Their
Wait,
1960s
Carden.
social...
Real quick, but there's nothing in this article about what that approach is. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead and finish the quote.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the sentence you read, and then the sentence that I was in the middle before we had our history lesson was broadcasting them in public venues doesn't actually help the institutions. It merely puts embattled administrators on the defensive and spreads seeds of mistrust that will continue to grow long after any perceived issues have been addressed. Okay, so he appears to me making the claim here that there are 0 goods that come out from posting these things on Twitter and Facebook and the people who put those messages out there for people to post, namely the Cougar Chronicle, Quick, you guys. I'm gonna propose 3 goods that come out from putting these messages out here. Number 1, it creates support for those in charge to make the necessary changes, making their jobs easier. There are a number of BYU professors, and Greg's the one that's done a lot of talking to them, but he said this before, there's a number of BYU professors who just will not speak out. You know, Professor Johnson, in the engineering department, he did not come to BYU to fight these battles that some other professors like Ryan Gabriel came to fight on the opposite side. When there are students out there that are taking the heat from Black menaces, that are putting their necks on the line to refuse these messages that are putting out there, that makes it more comfortable for him to speak up. And a lot of professors want to, and they feel like they can't. They feel like their colleagues, the university system is going to oppress their message. And they might even have consequences, is their perception. So it helps with that.
Okay,
Number
yeah.
2,
It
it
garners
raises
support.
awareness. Yeah. Number 2, it raises awareness for parents and others so they are not caught unawares. You can be kind of aware that maybe, I'm not saying for sure, but maybe your freshman is going to run into this whiteness assignment. Maybe they're going to run into being encouraged to paint their nails as a male in class. And you can just be aware and prepared for that. And number 3, it motivates dialogue and thought about the issues, which I think is very good. We need to put them out in the open. We need to explain what's good, what's bad. And let's not let a couple of bad apples paint this. Just because some guy on Twitter responds by saying it's worse than Harvard, or we should never send any of our kids there again, or shut the whole thing down, that doesn't mean that it's wrong for you to be putting those stories out there.
And I agree with you. I agree with you.
Critiquing the mistakes that are made while something is done does not constitute an argument against that thing being done.
Yeah, and
Okay, now I'm done.
I agree with you, Luke, that we do have to be careful, though, that we don't give the impression that we, like, don't send your kids to BYU, right? Because, I'm going to, like, it is because we love BYU. And we actually think that it is still the best university out there that we even say any of this stuff.
I'm not sending my kids to any college, but...
Well, unless they want something that actually garners collegiate education.
I guess.
College only functions well when it acts like a trade school. So keep going.
And then I would read here, the sixth quote that we have on here is, he says, those of us concerned about institutional drift at BYU need to convey those concerns in a different way. Again, he doesn't give any what that looks like.
We've given three. What's the phrase in Argentina? You served in Argentina, Jacob. The Argentine phrase that you should never launch a criticism without providing a substitution. That's a bad translation, but they always say you can't criticize unless you provide an alternative. All right. We provide alternatives on the show of what we think should be done. All right. It seems like you're taking issue with the fact, Luke, that Jeffrey Thane has told the peasants to shut up, and that, you know, you're out of line, Cougar Cron, you know, but he doesn't provide any kind of alternative method of airing that grievance.
And he provides...
My contention was mostly that he acts as if it's only bad. And I gave 3 examples how it can be a good thing.
Yes. And he's trying to make it out that we are engaging in activism against the church. That is, listen to what he says here. He says, when we pursue activist strategies and engage in pressure tactics, we are using secular worldly approaches to seek to advance the spiritual mission of the institution. He's using Brother Corbett, who's my favorite, by the way, in that whole talk. But the problem is that we're using activism tactics, let's say, against the activists.
Okay,
like
no.
we are using it against bureaucrats who are eroding the church. We're activists not against the church. We're activists for the church.
Okay, bro.
Captain Moroni is using the same tactics that the Lamanites were using to try and take back his cities.
Exactly.
Okay,
right?
well also, guys, does anybody not take issue with the fact that if what you're saying is true and he actually was, you know, pointing his you know, using us as a target,
pointing his musket at us?
Yeah, pointing his musket at us. Does anybody else not notice the hilarity of calling a podcast that literally has titles like Dinosaurs Aren't Real and, like, you know, talks about like UFOlogy and like whether or not Bigfoot was created in a lab? Like we're activists? No, we're jokers. We're jokers. And if the comedians in their observational comedy can joke about how poor your leadership is and how incongruent it is with the gospel of Jesus Christ because they also happen to be members of the same church, that's not activism. That's just you effing up so badly that now the comedians are noticing and they're talking about it. So you either can sit up on your boomer tower and say, shut up, comedians. You know what I'm saying? Shut up, peasants and comedians. Or you can just, like, you know, maybe get a little introspective and think, wow, what am I doing wrong? Because if you're calling the jokers, the abject clowns, activists, methinks your definition of activist really, really, really needs some revision. Keep going, Jacob.
Well, and just to end here, to end with the quotes that we have, he says, I'd like to relay what Elder Clark C. Gilbert assured BYU faculty and students in his devotional address. He says, quote, the good guys do win in the end, but sometimes it takes a little patience and even some faith, end quote. And then he says, that victory comes not by fixating our attention on the current cultural turmoils, but on our Savior, Jesus Christ. And I want to say, yeah, and faith without works is dead. And I do have my attention on the Savior. And in fact, it is because I have that attention on the Savior, and Luke has his attention on the Savior, that we are pointing out when the Lord's university, when BYU, is deviating from the Lord's standard. That's exactly what's causing this. It's the disconnect between our Savior, Jesus Christ, and the things that these activists within the church are pushing. And if we push back against the activists, and you want to call that activism, fine, I'm guilty. But it's not activism against the church, it's activism for the church.
Okay, ready for some super chats?
Yeah, hit it. Hit
Okay.
it.
Diamond Dave says, too tired for something witty. Here's money.
Yeah, Diamond Dave. That's the right attitude, dog.
Jonah Barnes says, all who approve of Brittany's nails, put a W in the chat. Better see lots of W's in there. Lots.
Nice, Jonah.
W.
Ryan Chai says, love you guys. Such a great mix of entertainment and important topics we need to be discussing. Wish y'all were in my ward. Now that would be a ward party. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
You can always move into our ward. You can always move.
Beverly Hills Second is always accepting incoming movies. What do you call people that move in? Incoming
People. Yeah.
members.
There
All
you
right.
go.
Keep going. Keep going.
Danny Gray says, liberal BYU professors insult others like Victorian Englishmen. Join Ward Radio Discord to see more of my uncensored opinions of them that would make their man pawns hurt. Hashtag Elmo sets fire.
Oh, I see what you did there with the word man and then female hygiene utility right there with a man pawn. I see what he did there.
Oh.
All right. Yeah. Good job.
I'm such a nerd. I was like, oh, like the pawns, like in the back of your, like,
Yeah.
your anus?
Hey, no.
What?
I see what he did there. And Elmo sets fire. Whoa, who's Elmo? And what's he setting fire to?
Elmo's on Sesame Street. You should know this.
Yeah. Or St. Elmo's Fire, which was another TV show from the 70s.
No, I think it's Sesame Street.
It was a contemporary of MASH.
Okay, ready? Wootman says, parents looking for a school that won't destroy their children's testimonies and that will inculcate
Yep, inculcate.
a love of the true, good, and beautiful should look to Hillsdale College. It defends the West and Christianity. LDS flourish.
Oh, interesting. Are there a lot of LDS students at Hillsdale?
Is that the online school?
Yeah, and they have a lot of really, really great courses. They're basically like
Yeah.
National Geographic.
I get like YouTube ads for them a lot.
Yeah.
You can take online courses, but it is an actual like liberal arts campus.
Oh.
I forget which state it is.
But it's also not a
but yeah.
university. It is only a college, so you get a limited degree and so on and so forth. Yes.
All
Is
right.
it?
Yeah, Hillsdale College is not a university. It's a college.
And I will say, if there's a group of people that you can just spark up a gospel conversation with or a theological conversation with, conservative young people,
Yeah.
that's where it's at.
Rock on, dude.
What
Rock
about
on.
SVU? Is that what it's called?
Southern Virginia University.
Yeah, everyone kind of forgets about them. What are they up to?
They're pretty cool. They're small. It's like
Yeah.
literally smaller than my mom's high school.
Oh.
It's like 45 minutes away from me. It's in my circuit of universities that I visit.
Oh, cool. Rock
Cool.
on. Okay.
All right. Kyle S says, preach, Cardin. Shout out to Jacob. Great points, everyone.
No. Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pleased to oblige.
Pale Horse Riding Bummer says, sometimes faith requires a 2x4.
Yeah, no, it's Boomer. He said pale horse riding boomer.
Oh.
But he did the cool.
I'm going to say bummer.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Hey, look, we made Luke laugh. I feel so proud when I make Luke laugh. It's like it was a joke that was appropriate enough for even the distinguished people in the room to chuckle. You know what I'm saying?
A distinguished peasant, you mean?
Yeah, he's.
Oh.
No, he's not
Yes.
going to be a peasant once he's done with his internship here.
Yeah.
He's going to be right up
I'm
there
like
with-
the peasants in Monty Python.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't vote for you. Yeah.
Where was the collective bargaining in that contract?
The bicameral legislature that meets weekly and decides the matters of government. Yeah.
That's funny.
Great.
All right, keep
okay,
going.
Kelton Christensen just sends a super chat. Thank you so much.
All right.
Same as John Jorgensen. Thank you so much. Polly Nikes 2000 says, screw the boomers and their Tower of Babel. Well, that's pretty
Throwing
fiery.
down. Just-
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what? Let's define the Tower of Babel, though, because the Tower of Babel.
Let's just go into the next super chat.
It's like no, I'm liking the analogy here. I just wanted to flesh it out. You know what
If
I'm
it's
saying?
ever criticizing boomers, Cardin's in both feet.
Just
Mm-hmm.
all in. No, there's plenty of good boomers. For example, Ed.
Ed's a good boomer.
Ed is a phenomenal boomer. He is our security. He makes sure that we are safe going both to and from the studio here, and he also protects Luke on occasion during his visits because there's weird people making weird threats, and we've talked about some of these funny ones, and they're being documented in case anything happens. But yeah, it's kind of nuts. So anyway, keep going, Brittany.
Okay, Kelton Christensen says, it's sad to me as a guy who wanted to go there, see spoiled students and professors complain and ruin values and godly morals.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not that bad. And hopefully everything that they say about Luke and Jacob is true. That these people are just Sadducees who are straining at gnats but swallowing camels and making mountains out of molehills in order to get clicks and views for their nefarious, self-centered, conservative newspapers that are eroding institutional trust that their generation has worked so hard on garnering. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm gonna stop.
In the Cougar Chronicle chat today, somebody said, they accuse us of being in it only for the money and of being intrinsically evil. They need to pick a lane.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Just,
so anyway,
it wouldn't be woke if it wasn't self-contradictory.
That's true.
I'm just gonna stop noticing things.
Yeah. Okay, so Diamond Dave says, can we excommunicate the wokes yet? Then build Mormon Dubai. # make it a trillion. I don't know if building a master city that has a retro-reflective outer shell and runs all... sounds too dystopian to me. You know what I'm saying? Nauvoo worked out well with brick and mortar. I don't know about some of these future cities where you don't own anything and you're supposedly going to be happy. But the sentiment, I'm right there with you, Diamond Dave. You know, modern Nauvoo,
We
that'd
got
be
a
kinda
temple.
cool.
Got a temple going up in Dubai.
Oh, we do?
Still waiting on the side announcement, but yeah.
Oh,
didn't
well,
know
that's kind of cool.
That's wild.
Is it going to be
It was
in
like
the
3
shape?
years ago.
Is it going to be in the weird shape of a flower, like that housing complex that they built out into the ocean? That's the shape of the Dubai flower. Oh no, that's the
No,
No,
that's the
sorry.
world and the palm tree.
yeah.
And then the Burj Al Arab, the tallest building, has that kind of tri-flower.
Yeah.
configuration
Wow.
going
You
on
even
in the
know
base.
you even know the name of the building, the Burj
Mhm.
Al Arab.
Hey, Mission Impossible, tallest building in the world. Like, it's a cool building.
Okay, cool. Rock on, rock on. Okay, well, we're coming up here. We only got 8 minutes left, guys. So if you guys have any other super chats that you got to get out of your system, please tell us what's going on. And we'll do our best to read them right now. Anyway, okay, so Jacob and Luke, as our outro, okay, as we're waiting for these last super chats here, do you feel sufficiently reprimanded? Will you change your behavior? Will you begin will you begin your repentance process first by confessing to Jeffrey Thane that you're sorry for your online activism against the church and you want to make amends to all of the bureaucrats who may have felt uncomfortable by your observations?
I love Jeffrey Thane, just so everybody knows. And I encourage everyone to follow him online and watch his great presentation on expressive individualism. However, I think he just got this one wrong. The problem is that he doesn't offer any sort of an approach for us to actually, what is this healthy approach, this better approach that he talks about? It doesn't exist. And the reality is that we need, bringing awareness to something is not a problem, okay? It's what, it is helpful. We're dealing with human beings here at BYU. This is a human institution, and we are not acting in activism against the church by pointing out when the bureaucracy underneath is going off the rails from the Savior, right? And having a public conversation about a public institution that we might be sending our children to. Like, Latter-day Saints are having these conversations. We're just participating in it in a public forum with the idea that spreading awareness about the problems can help those who are involved in these things be aware of them so that they can push back. And that can include the donors themselves. I would be surprised if some of the donors have been made aware of some of these things because of people like Greg Mattson or like Ward Radio or like myself or like the Cougar Chronicle. That's how donors and other people find out the information about what's going on, and then that can actually help to create pressure to change it. And is that activism? You want to call that activism? Fine. I'm all for activism towards mid-level bureaucrats who are going off the rails from what the church is meant to be and what it teaches.
By the way, here's what's kind of funny. As I looked up, I just clicked on Jeffrey Thane's thing, and he literally wrote comparing allyship and discipleship. How does seeking to be a loving ally overlap or not with seeking to be a loving disciple of Christ?
It's probably a good article. He honestly, Jeffrey is very thoughtful. He is brilliant. And I have very little I ever find that I disagree with him on the matters of ideology. Where I do sometimes find myself disagreeing with Jeffrey or with others is when it comes to tactics. Like, what do we do in order to effectuate positive changes in the culture war? Because I'm not like Jeffrey or others where I have this idea of like, oh, the culture war, like, ugh, that's just that gross thing they talk about on Fox News. It's like, culture is like everything, you guys. Like, if we're not influencing the culture, then we're not the leaven that's making the bread rise.
Yeah. Also, I looked at his picture. This is the first time. I think I met this cat at the fair conference once.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, he seemed nice. He was cool.
He's fantastic.
Dude, the bro just got a Jacob Hansen and Luke Hansen double-barreled shotgun blast to the face. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's probably.
Oh, how will he ever recover?
You know, he's probably hating on you guys right now.
Well, he
just
doesn't.
like-
He shouldn't hate on me because.
and then here I am calling him a bureaucrat angry at peasants. You know what I'm saying? He's
No,
probably-
I will say
Jeffrey's
this.
a good guy.
No, Jacob and I, we came out, we were fiery, but mostly peaceful in our analysis of this article. Hey, we got to celebrate Trump winning the nomination somehow in this live stream.
Okay,
Hey,
that's
I'm,
funny.
I'm actually not a voter for Trump in the primary. I wouldn't vote for him. So just everyone knows who thinks I'm some big MAGA crazy guy.
I actually wouldn't either, but sometimes it's fun to just play into what they think you are.
I know.
Well, I'm not a beta.
Quaku's a bad influence. That's
So I'm
Quaku's,
not a beta,
shtick.
so I moved to Iowa just to establish residency and vote for him. So what about that one, dog? I'm just kidding. Okay, so
Hey,
pale
you out-magged me.
Yeah. So pale
But-
horse riding boomers.
So for all the criticisms that I levied, I appreciate his input, and people giving us criticisms like this is what helps keep at least the Cougar Chronicle, at least myself within the Cougar Chronicle. And I should point out, I'm not with them specifically anymore since I'm not a student at BYU anymore. So a lot of the stuff they've been doing is on themselves, is for the new students, and I want to give them credit, not pretend like I'm the one doing all the stuff. But it helps keep us on our toes when
Okay.
people from both sides provide criticisms, and I think that's good and healthy.
Okay, we got 3
I
minutes
don't
left.
think they were good criticisms, though.
Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Can you read those last super chats, babe?
Yes. I had to step out for a little bit. Did you say any?
Nope.
That I-
Pale horse riding boomer. All humor aside, as a younger boomer.
Wait, what?
I'll read it first. All
Wait,
humor
no,
aside.
Did you skip Diamond Dave?
Diamond Dave gave us the super chat. Yeah, no, I already did Diamond Dave. Can we estimate all the wokes? So here we go. Pale horse riding boomer.
Okay, I got it.
Okay,
Stop
okay.
taking my job.
Yeah,
Gosh.
sorry. Look, I'm just trying to smash the matriarchy.
Okay, have fun with that. All humor aside, as a younger boomer, I know it's not bummer. Cardin's boomer rant is 90% correct. It's hard to look at my contemporaries and take them seriously.
Oh, we've got a mole in the generation.
Uh-oh.
We've got a turncoat. Pale horse riding boomer, you are welcome amongst us. But we lament the scorn and the red scarlet letter that you must wear now when you go to church. But we commend you for your bravery, my friend. Go with God.
Okay, and the next one is D. Carts. I'm for a temporary BYU shutdown, COVID style. Just long enough to stop the spread of the woke mind virus. 2 weeks should be perfect.
2 weeks to stop the spread. That's funny. That's pretty hilarious. Look, you made
It's going to
Luke
turn
Tuttle.
into 2 months, though.
Yeah, you made or 2 years if they're Californian students. You know.
Okay,
So,
Kale Chips Vendetta says Snaggart suggested Joseph Smith University. Anything wrong with that? He's got a golden statue in India now, right?
yeah, that's pretty hardcore, man. That's pretty hardcore. Good point.
Zach Thompson. Hi, Zach. He says it's the Burj Khalifa. Hey, I love you guys.
Oh, I've been reprimanded.
It's got the wrong
Yes, the
building.
Burj Al Arab is the 7-star hotel that looks like a sailing boat.
Don't
out
try
on
and
the
make up
water.
for it now. Don't try
the
and
Burj
sound
Khalifa
knowledgeable.
is the tallest one. I apologize.
Zach Thompson has spoken, and he misspelled his name. It said Thompson, but there's no P. Zach, what are you doing, dog? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just totally kidding.
Okay, Diamond Dave says Kale Chips Vendetta. Yes, it's in the Peace Dome in, is it Pune, India? That's where the Joseph Smith statue is.
Yeah, it's in the Peace Dome in Pune, India.
Okay.
Maybe it's called Pune. I don't know. Pune.
Glenn Webster just sends a super chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Snagrit says Jeff Thane is not woke, very anti-woke.
Yes, he is not. Definitely not woke. Jeffrey is. His presentation on expressive individualism is potentially, and it's based off some other really good stuff anyway. But it is like the best diagnosis of the woke mind virus that maybe is out there, and he's fantastic. Again, I encourage everyone to read Jeffrey Thane. I don't disagree with him on the ideology stuff. He is brilliant at diagnosing what's going on.
In order to vent his anger after your public besmirching of him, are you going to invite him to the boxing match that you are going to have? That you are you want to talk about that just for a second, just 5 seconds?
Sure. All right. It's in the works, but going to be not boxing. It's actually going to be a jiu-jitsu match that myself and Jacob Isbell are going to be throwing down on. I think it's April 5th or 6th. It's the Saturday of conference weekend between sessions. Him and I are going to be doing an exhibition match, jiu-jitsu, 5-minute is right now our current length that we're going to do, and yeah, we'll hopefully live stream it. And
so this
can
is
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why?
So because it's awesome.
Okay.
And Joseph Smith was a wrestler, a really good wrestler, and so we're calling it the Joseph Smith. I think it's called like the Joseph Smith Memorial exhibition, and so we're gonna have. And I think Jacob Isbell's doing all sorts of things with it. So he's talking about food. He's talking about multiple matches.
Dang.
He's talking about like a scripture reading, like competition is part of it. So it's going to be like a whole thing that he wants to do. We'll see how big he makes it. I'm just showing up to do my.
If you get beat by the Numos, it's a proxy war. This is like the Olympics in the Cold War when like when all of the Ruskies were forcing the females to take testosterone. They were cheating. They were threatening the families of the athletes. If you do not win, we kill them. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like Numo rage versus Brighamite holdouts. You know, is this going to be a proxy war?
I'm representing Brother Brigham. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh,
I should come out with a Brigham shirt. Something like Brigham did nothing wrong shirt or something like that.
Or dude, you need to invent a new wrestling move. Chat members, you guys need to help us out in the last 60 seconds of this live stream. Like there's all kinds of different wrestling moves. There's the Saturday Night Ride where you do them in like a half Nelson, you get on their back, right? There's the full Nelson, there's the half Nelson. There's all these different moves. We got to name a new move like the Brigham Bender or the Righteous Roll or something like that. We got to come up with some kind of cool actual wrestling move name that would be sick that you could do.
Polygamous pile driver.
Yeah, the polygamous pile driver. Oh. It's like the people's elbow, but the polygamous pile driver. Yeah.
Carden, do you want to go with me? Do you want to go on a date with me and watch this?
Oh, yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Sweet.
I need you guys there.
Can you be the hot ring girl? Can we just stick you in one of those like Monster
that's
Energy
Erica.
drink?
That's Jacob's wife. That's her job.
No, we can have two of you.
Nah.
That's awesome.
Nah.
Like two bikinis are better than one.
Okay.
You know?
Should we get back to these super chats? I'm feeling
Yes, we should.
This is a super chat moment.
Okay, cool.
Ryan Chai says, exactly right, Jacob. Well, hold on, Ryan. No, kidding.
Thanks, Ryan.
This public convo is mirrored by what is happening at home. To quote Tim Allen in Galaxy Quest, never give up, never surrender.
Oh, by the way, Mormon wrote Galaxy Quest.
Really?
Friend
That's
of
a
mine in
great
the state.
movie.
Yeah, Galaxy Quest was written by a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
Like most righteous institutions, we excel in humor, especially observational humor. So, next super chat.
Okay, Pale Horse Ride-In Boomer says, allyship is not discipleship. Allyship.
Oh, no, allyship.
Oh,
They
allyship.
put the quote in there on the different yeah, it gets
Okay.
No, it's allyship.
Allyship is not discipleship. Allyship intimates
Intimates subordination. Yeah, it's kind of hard to read with that font size so small, but it's allyship is not discipleship. Allyship intimates subordination. And so what he's saying is that oftentimes these woke organizations say, well, if you're an ally, you'll believe in whatever, political measure we're suggesting, or whatever woke scold ideology we're trying to push, or whatever DEI or definition of inclusion we're trying to corrupt. And so oftentimes they will, like I always say, they hold hostage your humanity. They hold hostage your love for your gay brothers and sisters in the church, unless you support their ostensibly secular version of gay rights or whatever. So, allyship is not discipleship. Allyship intimates subordination. And I think that's actually a very, very well said super chat. Next one, Kyle, Brittany, go.
Okay, Kyle says this might be more up Jacob's alley, but modern progressive Mormonism is our tower today, confounding the language and changing the religion.
Amen.
Well said, my man.
The language,
well said.
They play language games all the time. Language is about manipulation, not communication, for those people with that worldview.
And do we need now to build a boat that is tight like unto a dish to get the heck out of Dodge? We'll end up in Malaysia, and we'll make the Malaysian model turn real just by default, right? Keep going, Brittany.
Okay, Polynikes 2000 says Thane's analysis of expressive individualism is kids' gloves. The lived experience of Heidegger, Habermas, etc., and others is the primary problem. Simping like this is why I use ward radio and bishopric meetings rather than thoughtful faith clips.
Oh,
Is
wait.
that the TF?
Something like TF
I don't know.
could be. Okay, wait. Thane's, I gotta read this again because even I'm struggling. So hold on.
Awkward. Moving
Thane's
on.
analysis of expressive individuals is kids' gloves. The lived experience of Heidegger, Habermas, etc. Et al. Et al. The legal term. Okay, is the primary problem. Simping like this is why I use ward radio and bishopric meetings rather than thoughtful faith clips. Dude, Polynikes.
All right, Polynikes, we're going down this. So real quick, just
He went hard in the paint right way.
He is correct though.
That we're better than thoughtful faith.
No. Jeffrey Thane is
That
his
we're more
ideas,
appropriate for bishopric meetings.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, stop
certainly.
it.
Is expressive individualism is something that Jeffrey Thane is bringing together ultimately and presenting on, but these ideas go back deep into other philosophical traditions. In fact, I would recommend that everybody read the book The Triumph of the Modern Self by, I believe it's Carl Trueman is his name. That book, I think, is where Jeffrey actually, maybe it was through him that he pulled a lot of that information for that presentation. And Trueman goes deep into the philosophical roots of this, going all over the place into all the real deep philosophical roots of the woke movement. So he is correct to point out that this isn't something that, Jeffrey Thane was the only person that kind of had pointed this out. He just did a great job of sort of summarizing what other people have observed and applying it to a Latter-day Saint context, which is exactly what Jeffrey does, and he does beautifully.
Okay, awesome, sick. All right, so the super chats have come to a close. Finally, we are going to be able to wrap this up. Before we get out of here, Luke Hansen, Jacob Hansen, can you guys say where people can find you and how they can connect with you? If they like all of the peasantry you have spread today, if they like all of the thought crime that has been committed today, if they appreciate your unorthodoxy, how they can consume more of your content. Luke Hansen, you go first.
Yeah, so the Cougar Chronicle is at the Coug Chron, but I've actually just taped a couple of days ago my first interview for my new YouTube channel, Zion's Camper. That will be airing in a couple of days, about a week here.
That's a good one. I dig that one. That one's pretty hilarious. All right. Josiah,
Art courtesy of Fidget that I found on a previous live stream. So we're getting that finalized. Music's getting finalized and should be up in a couple days. So
okay. Josiah Flynn, thank you very much for the super chat. Says Gaddy Anton's out of helicopters when? That'd be a really funny action movie sequence right there for the end days. Jacob Hansen.
Okay, so if you want to find me, you can find me on Thoughtful Faith on YouTube. If you just search for that, you should be able to find my videos. And I do have the wrestling move that I think we're going to have to make happen. It was actually sent to me by Jonah Barnes, and that is the Russell Full Nelson.
The Russell Full Nelson. That is absolutely epic. So anyway, guys, this has been totally awesome today. As always, you can check us out at Ward Radio or at Ward Radio Show and or Ward Radio Worldwide on all social media platforms out there. Please check us out. And other than that, it's been real and it's been fun. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for all of the super chats. The shirts are incoming. Some events are upcoming. 2024 is, panning out as a super cool and awesome year. We're having the cup of cardons every morning that people seem to think are awesome. And Snagger says thoughtful based. That's actually pretty funny instead of thoughtful faith. So as always, it's been real and it's been fun and it's been real fun. For this and more, please check us out at wardradio.com. Like, share, subscribe, or die.
Hello, hello.